Hello and welcome to the Digital Perspectives. I'm Praveen Gautam. This program is all about exploring your digital trends, strategies, and really practical insights to help you build your brand and monetize it today. And I see that a number of the viewers is watching this from different platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, that might be LinkedIn, or even the growing channels, which is YouTube. So if you are new, just type down as a new. If you have been watching us the past episodes, welcome to the show. Would love to know a little bit about how you are building your business right now in this uncertain time. So all right, let's get into it. Today I'm really excited and I'm really great to have Brad today. Brad Tonan is a great friend of mine and a mentor. Welcome to the show, Brad.
Oh, Praveen, what a pleasure it is to be here today with you.
Great. Brad, obviously I'm talking to you as a thought leader and sales strategist, and I want to know about the selling, virtual selling, especially in today's context. So please.
Well, selling's changed a little, hasn't it? I mean, if I think back to when I was presenting some of my programs back in sort of late February, early March, it was all standing in front of groups. It was talking with salespeople about how they can really go out there and get face-to-face with their clients and prospects and develop relationships and a whole range of things. And we've had to really shift a lot in terms of looking at the virtual world. I think that this has actually provided for us an opportunity that some people are not fully taking advantage of. I think there's a real opportunity right now to embrace this technology and look at it. And we're going to talk today about this idea of virtual servicing, but there's other things you could be doing with it too in terms of how you might attract and create new client relationships, referrals, introductions, a whole range of things. But in terms of virtual servicing, this is an interesting piece today that I thought, might be interesting to talk about in terms of how do we deep dive into actually being that trusted advisor and creating a virtual servicing process. So I think that things have certainly changed, but it's an opportunity that I'm seeing right now.
You bet, and that's where that's I like your perspective. Obviously, as a trusted advisor, you change. As where the clients are, and obviously particularly you said embracing the technology. So can you tell a little bit about, considering our today's topic, virtual selling, selling of the long tail in your business, what does the long tail mean in a business, and where does the virtual selling fit right now, Brad?
Well, the long tail is all about the smaller order values in your business, the long tail in terms of the big 80-20 rule, if you like, 20% being the 80% of your business and 80% being 20% of your business. So, we've got this long tail in our business, and I'm just trying to think. I know the book, The Long Tail, was written many years ago, which sort of got my attention. And this whole idea of, how do we service that long tail? And I always talk to salespeople, business owners, about the fact that, you've got a lot of people in your database, people that might work with you, people that are good clients, but they can be high maintenance and low value if you're not careful. So how do you really make sure that you are maintaining those relationships, number one? Number two, getting referrals and introductions off those relationships. But number three, how are you doing it efficiently and effectively? And I think this is where Zoom and other mechanisms are going to be of value to us moving forward, not just now, but moving forward into the future, to be able to service those accounts in a way that's really effective and efficient. So long tail, long list of people who buy little bits and pieces from you.
All right. So, Brad, let me understand that I understood properly. It's not about one strike policy, not selling, but obviously maintaining, right? Servicing for a long term.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is where I can see the real benefit from it. I mean, you can be using it in new client relationships, no problem there in terms of how you can go about doing Zoom calls and creating new email handshakes, if you like, which is another thing I talk about. But you can really use it effectively in terms of how you can get in contact with clients that you need to do account service with, like reviews, like checking in how things going, like making sure an order's processed the right way, the account's paid, all that sort of stuff, which is, it can be time consuming, but done well, you could do it so efficiently virtually now.
You bet. And obviously that also reminds, the touch points or a nurturing sequence, if you like, isn't it? Pretty much adding the value. So not just sending the emails after emails, but really humanizing that communication. Is that what we are hearing, Brad?
Well, one of the things that you and I have talked about in the past is the need to be at service for people. Now, this is something I think that's really fundamentally shifted in the last 5 months, is that people have had to become very good at actually really keeping in contact with our clients, connecting, making sure they're okay, finding out where they are in their business. Now, one of the things that I think we can be really assumptive with, Prabin, which is dangerous in the market right now, and I've certainly found myself doing this, is assuming that everyone is doing it pretty tough. That's not necessarily true. I mean, I've had 3 clients in the last month that I've worked with, done sessions with, or done coaching with, that are actually up on last year. Now, you might say, well, but that doesn't happen very often, but there are. There are businesses out there that are doing very, very well. So if we take that assumption and put it to the side that everyone's not doing well, I think we can then see that, hey, there's an opportunity to keep in contact with, connecting with, and finding out where our clients actually are at right now, because you might get surprised that they're actually not so badly off.
Great point. Great insight. Thanks, Brad. Now, obviously, I see a number of the viewers right now, and if you have just tuned in, I am with Brad, the sales strategist, and we're talking about virtual selling of the long term in your business. And he's a true expert in transforming the sales team to the team of trusted advisors. So if you're just watching this from any of the channels, feel free to give a thumbs up or comments, or feel free to share this to a wider community so it reach out. And this is a time, the whole idea is to add a value and really help you on giving the ideas on how to sell or cranking up the selling machine, pretty much. Isn't it, Brad, in your way?
Yeah, I just did a whole series on that, Prabin, where we talked about that, what I called new selling. And new selling to me is the fact that don't see this as being something that's actually going to be letting you down, or this environment's going to be making it hard to make sales. Make a shift and think about how you need to connect with your clients and prospects in a new selling environment. And I think this is really about how do we crank up that machine, having been in hibernation for a number of people out there now in terms of their selling efforts.
Awesome. Now, also that reminds, especially obviously we are right now in Melbourne, some places including Melbourne can't do face-to-face selling, which is really another option. Now, what's your suggestion to a sales leader, entrepreneurs who is watching this right now? How can they better sell their service or attract more clients leveraging the technology? Could you just give a little bit heads up on that new selling place, Brad?
Well, certainly, I want to speak from my point of view just for a second, Prabin, because I only want to speak with confidence about the platform I use. And I'm certainly using Zoom a lot and using LinkedIn to be able to get people into my Zoom world, whether it be a weekly show I might be doing or whether it might be a video or else. But, when I think about the use of Zoom and LinkedIn, to me, there's enormous opportunity. I mean, we know that LinkedIn traffic has gone berserk. We can see that in terms of what the feed and what the number of people are that are getting involved in it. But Zoom has been incredible. And you think about, I wish I had shares in Zoom, by the way, but you think about what's happened since February, March, in terms of the number of people who are now embracing this technology, and they're using it for webinars, they're using it for meetings, they're using it, which is that get involved and interview your own clients. Develop your own podcast if you like. But this is, to me, a method to be able to go to the world and say, hey, I'm not only a salesperson, I am a thought leader and a trusted authority in terms of my content. I've got something to say. I'm a contrarian in some way. I believe this and I want to share it with the world. And so that, to me, is an opportunity. It's embracing the technology, but it's also saying, I'm not just a salesperson. I'm a trusted advisor who sells, but of course I do it in a way that is built on trust, relationships, and being that trusted authority so people can sit up and take notice of me. So this is all the changing environment and the use of technology to be able to do that.
You bet. All what we are trying to do business is simple thing is building meaningful relationship. Pretty much, isn't it? Whether we catch up on on, on physically or whether that may be online, all we are doing is building that relationship and adding value in different ways through the journey. So that's a great point.
I'll give you a quick example, Praveen. A quick example. I've got a new book coming out called The Great Theatre of the Sale, and that'll be out probably in about 5 or 6 weeks. And so in that, the writing of that book, I got to a point where I came up with the heading and I thought, I don't know what the book cover should look like. So I put 3 book covers together and sent it out to a number of people who I highly respect. Around about 30 of my best clients, people I really enjoy working with, people I haven't spoken to for a while. And I said, hey, give me your feedback. No strings attached. I just want to know what you think. And I think I got 27 responses of people ranking them in orders 1 through 3. Now, that wasn't meant to be a selling opportunity, but boy, what it created was a connection point where we actually connected, had a conversation, talked about other things, but it was done through the opportunity of just keeping people informed and just asking for their opinion. So I think we've got to be much more creative now in terms of how we sell, and that's just a tiny example.
What a great insight, all asking, or getting the feedback. That's so important. And that's where sometimes, the business owners or entrepreneurs miss that because they see a sort of a shiny object syndrome, which you talk about. And I have learned in this last few years, think about shiny object syndrome, and they go about it for a couple of months. And again, they change the pace. So it's not about that, it's going deeper, actually understanding, getting the feedback, what clients like to do. It's so important, isn't it? It's not negotiable.
You'll know from working together many years ago when you were part of our masterminding group and getting very involved, and we're doing some work together, when we talked about the idea of for what purpose. And I think that's really important because you talk about shiny objects, and the thing is that you need to make sure that these activities have a distinct purpose to them. If you're talking about being a better salesperson right now, connect with technology, get your own podcast going, be the trusted authority, find out how people are going, get involved in their business. But you need to do these things for what purpose? Because you can spin your wheels like crazy, take up a lot of time and not produce results.
You bet. That's a great point, Brad. Particularly you say, think about for what purpose. It's not about producing for the sake of producing, but really understanding what is the impact that is delivering to your clients or to your prospects or to your wider community. So I totally get that. Now, just a little bit on the note, obviously you touched on here. What I'm trying to do is obviously on those viewers who are watching this right now, and they might be thinking, okay, to generate these new sales, these are some of the things like you touched on, obviously on LinkedIn, you touched on Zoom, which can also work on side by side and a servicing side of the business. What else? I mean, I understand CRM. What's your thought on that?
Well, what a great opportunity it's been the last 5 months to actually get your CRM right. I mean, let's face it, you and I often talk about Zoho as a product, and I'm using that now on the back of your recommendation. And you get involved in your database and you find out what Zoho can do and the campaigns it can run and the way that you can segment your database and all those things. I mean, I don't want to ever be a technical person who gets so involved in it that I can't actually be finding out really what it can give me as a salesperson and trusted advisor. But there has been a terrific opportunity, and that opportunity is not lost yet. You can still do something with it where you can jump on a product, get involved in it, find out how to put your best opportunities in there, the order values according to what those opportunities are, like a pipeline deal, if you like, the deal summary. And then you can get into things like your database and start to think about how you can put out your regular email campaigns. I mean, if you're not putting out a campaign probably once a week, once a fortnight with something in there, a piece of content, a newsletter, a special report, or a video, I think you're missing the boat. So these are all technical ways using technology to be able to, harness the value of your CRM.
You bet. And what we are talking, obviously, it's not, the situation is different on certain times. So it's not like a normal selling, isn't it, Brad? Correct me if I'm wrong. So obviously, you got to add a couple of sales, if you like, sales stages or steps. So whether that may be, doing the link through LinkedIn or through a CRM or through livecast, which we just talked just briefly, the importance of the livecast or the live shows, but really understanding the value you bring on the table to the clients. That's so important, yeah?
Well, you are the master at developing nurture campaigns in LinkedIn campaigns. I mean, you do it beautifully well, where we create that first conversation with someone, we connect with them, but then the conversation happens beyond that. And you and I both know that selling is not just a numbers game. I mean, I know that if you look at old selling, it used to be, go out there and see 20, 30 people and you might get a lead. Well, you and I know that it's a much more effective way to do it than that, through referrals and introductions, but also email handshakes. And the great thing about thinking about how you can use nurture sequences is that you are developing a longer term relationship, and you are also saying, hey, is this person really a qualified lead for me, where I know that there can be some value at the end of this, rather than just connecting with everyone. I mean, I don't see much point in having 20,000 connections on LinkedIn and finding that no one even knows you.
Totally. And that's where we see, so many people are almost sitting in the gold mine and they don't really get the value. They, saying, oh, I have got a couple of thousands in the database, couple of thousands in LinkedIn, but so what? Right? So nothing. There's not optimizing anything.
Well, just on that for a second, Praveen, just on that for a second. If you think about it, I mean, one of the biggest challenges we have in sales right now is not really leaving all our contacts in LinkedIn. I mean, you'd be crazy to have 5, 6, 8, 10,000 contacts. And I know there'll be some people watching this that may even have more. It'd be crazy to leave them in there. One of the things we must become masterful at in sales is, how do I move them out of LinkedIn to my email list? How do I move them out of LinkedIn to a pipeline database? So you've got to be creative in terms of how you do that. And this is the reason why podcasts and content is so important in moving people across to your own database, back into Zoho or a CRM system.
Oh, that's you definitely nail it, which also means to the viewers who are watching this right now, obviously a little bit the strategies which we have used in last several years and which has worked beautifully is, through the LinkedIn connecting, but really even in the sales breakfast, they want to taste with you, they want to come and enjoy. So what you are saying is literally not just from the one channel, but really hybrid, a sort of online versus offline. So really marrying this together. Is that right in saying? Right.
Well, it's a marrying of these ideas together so that it does match that idea for what purpose. But as you were just talking, I was thinking about the book many years ago by Robert Allen, Multiple Streams of Income. And I think about it from a sales point of view, multiple streams of opportunities. And I think that, we're going to be very good at creating a meaningful way, a purposeful way of creating multiple opportunities across a number of channels. And that's why I always say to salespeople, don't just rely upon your own shoe leather to go out and create opportunities. Develop a referral campaign, develop some great introductions, develop your podcast, develop LinkedIn. You need to have multiple ways that you are creating leads into your business each and every day. And if you are holding on to one way of doing it, you're a dinosaur. So you got to create many, many ways.
Gold. I love your perspectives, and we both are passionate about selling, building business. So, it's I hope that this has been really a value to all the viewers who are watching this right now. I can see a number of our friends liking it, commenting it. That's great. So if there's any specific questions you want to ask right now, or I'm conscious with the time, feel free to send us an email. Now, people are watching this right now. They might be thinking, okay, so perhaps I want to go deeper, I want to know more, or what can you able to do, Brad? So anything you want to share about that, about your program or anything?
Well, as you know, Praveen, I certainly run a weekly interview on LinkedIn, and I also through my database, which is all about new selling. I also have my Friday School of Sales program, which is once every month. I run a Friday school on Zoom. We have a number of members and guests that come along to that, and also other things that I do from time to time. The easiest way is, why don't you just send me an email direct at brad@bradtonini.com. I'll hook you into my website. I'll hook you into my next Friday School of Sales. We'll get you at least sampling what I do and see what you think.
That's great, Brad. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're so very, very busy with all adding value to always to your clients and running up the virtual workshops and events. Now, anything you want to add, particularly anything before we finish for today?
Well, let me finish with maybe a quick little process for people to be able to do a virtual sales call, if you like, to an account service. Now, if you've got a pen there, you might want to make a note of a few things. Number one is the frame up in terms of why you're doing it. So you need to let people know in advance what a virtual account servicing call is all about. Get in contact with your clients, let them know that you're obviously going to be having this account call with them and why you're doing it. Number two is connect with them. In other words, how are they? How are you going? What's going on in business when you're on the Zoom call? Number three is clarifying. In other words, the purpose of the meeting you're going to be having with them on the Zoom call, why you're doing it, but also the time frame attached to that virtual account service call. Next one is context. In other words, the agenda, what you're going to cover, the discussion points and getting into it, which is really the content. And at the very end, I think you need to make sure that there's a commitment. And the commitment is from your end and from their end in terms of what you need to do as an action plan as a result of that virtual account servicing call. So there's a process there attached to, what you do prior to the account servicing call, right through the whole process of doing it, and then at the end, the commitment to action. Now, if you can get that down pat, sales teams that are using this process at the moment that I'm showing them are saying that they can get through an account service call well under half an hour, where it may have taken them 2 hours to go and do it face to face out in the market, driving them, driving back. What an opportunity it is through the vehicle of Zoom and the virtual world to say, make this an ongoing thing where you can virtual account service virtually and ongoing. And this can be a time changer in terms of efficiency and being very, very effective.
Couldn't agree more. So what you're saying is obviously you're having that call, trust call, connecting people, clarifying, and obviously the context, getting the context right, and obviously getting the commitment. That's where we see a lot of the entrepreneurs or sales leaders, if you like, they just miss that because you talk, but really there's not moving the needle, so-called. So it's very important to have that commitment.
Very simple to remember, what a great Ben, all about connecting, clarifying, context, content, commitment. That's really what you're looking to do. Wow.
I wish we could deep dive further more here. I'm conscious with the time. Thank you so much for your time, Brad. I hope all the viewers are watching this right now. They would have really enjoyed. And again, if you want to deep dive and know more, just drop an email to brad@bradtononi.com. Yes, .com. So like Brad today, if you're curious to how to maximize your sales and servicing in the digital world, I'd love to hear from you.